I think it goes with the badge, like whatever happened at the crash, it belongs to the badge of the club.
It's a really big and defining moment, I think, in the history of his club.
Christian,
Hello.
good to see you.
Hi, you too.
Matthijs, you okay?
How are you?
Yeah, good. Welcome to our museum. We've got a few items here which relate to the story of Munich and the Busby Babes. This, as you can see, is a very old England shirt. This was Duncan Edwards. We think it's maybe 56, 57.
Yeah.
Duncan was obviously one of the best players. In fact, he was the best player for the Busby Babes by a mile. And he made his debut for England very, very young. Obviously, he didn't realise the potential both for the country or for United, but that's his shirt. Those two programmes there are really significant. So this one was from Highbury when we played Arsenal, and this was a league game just before we flew off to play the European Cup tie. It was a brilliant game. United scored 5 that day and beat Arsenal on their own patch. And the Arsenal fans at the time said this is the best performance we've seen from an away team. I think most of the country at the time thought the Busby Babes were going to go and win the European Cup. And we only needed a draw in the game against Belgrade to go through to the semis. Yeah. And of course we got the draw, so on the way back to Manchester they knew that they were in the semi-final. Yeah. And this programme here is very significant. This is the first game after the crash, and as you can see, there's no names on the United team sheet, so we didn't really know who was going to play, you know, maybe some academy players. It was a really, really emotional time, not just for the club and the people of Manchester, but for English football, really. Yeah. It was very sad. But I want to tell you a little bit more about the crash and why it happened in Munich. The reason we were in Munich is because obviously in those days the old propeller planes that you can see there, they couldn't fly the full distance, so we needed to refuel. We stopped in Germany to refuel, and it was horrible weather, ice and snow on the runway. So of course they tried to take off, and I think it was the third attempt, the plane ended up crashing and virtually wiped out the squad. Nowadays, of course, our squad is what, 25, maybe 30 players? Yeah. Back then you're probably looking at 16, 17 players. And we lost 70 initially, and then 8 with Duncan. The feeling at the time was that the Busby Babes were going to win the European Cup, which is why I think the shock was felt throughout the country. A lot of people at the time thought we were finished, you know, when this happened, but the opposite happened. And if you look over here, the survivors, Matt Busby had been read the last rites. A lot of people thought he wasn't going to make it, but he did just about survive. Of course, Bobby survived and went on to be the greatest English footballer we've ever seen. What happened next is miraculous, I think. So from being in a position where you lose your team and people are saying the club are finished, 5 years after the crash, United win the FA Cup. Yeah. And then a couple of years after that, a league title, then another league title. And then 10 years after the crash, we become the first English team to win the European Cup. What made it quite poetic for Busby, he tried to win this with kids. And in the European Cup final in '68, the 4 goal scorers had all come through the academy. Yeah. So Bobby got 2, Georgie Boy got a goal, and young Brian Kidd on his 19th birthday got a goal.
Special.
Very special, yeah. You know, it's not an easy conversation to talk about a team that lost their lives trying to play football, really. Yeah. Very difficult.
I was in the 2 years I was in Munich. I think what you said, like that, every year the Man United and the Munich fans come together to a certain place to remember this horrible moment, of course. I think that's quite special that they're still doing that, and that they still keep these these players and people in mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was what you said, a big moment in the history of the club.
Sometimes the tough times are what shapes you as a football club, and we got, you know, from such a horrible tragedy, we got a lot of inspiration, and it's often what people talk about now in terms of that resilience that you have as a football club. But that relationship with the fans of Bayern and the club of Bayern is very, very strong.
Yeah.
Thank you, lads. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.